Good evening, fans. This is your girl from Mel's Match Chat, and this is your official Mel's Match Chat preview and prediction of WWE Money in the Bank. Hopefully, everybody's having a great evening. I want to apologize for this not being live, but again, I'm having problems with my internet, and it's getting to be progressively annoying. Like, I have to legitimately play guessing games if I'm going to be able to go on live or not, and it's annoying that to say the very least. But hopefully everybody's having a great Friday. Also, please do me a favor while you're here, go check out episode 296 of the regular podcast. And please like, share, subscribe, and turn on my bell for all notifications. So when I go live or I upload a video, you will know about it. You will know about it. So hopefully everybody's having a great Friday evening. You checked out the regular podcast. And hopefully everybody is having a smashing good Friday. SmackDown was from the Q2 Arena in London, and Monday Night Raw was here in the States. So that is that with that. Before we get into anything, but I want to send out my thoughts and prayers to Darren Drozdov's family. He was known as Droz. He was a very weird character, to say the very least. He used to puke on demand. That would be phenomenal for fucking person that has that needs to cut weight immediately, just to throw up and that's it. You know, that's the only thing that's good for. But puking on demand, that really disgusting. It actually strips away the enamel to your teeth, and yuck, gross. But he had an accident about 20 years ago. It was over at the NASA Coliseum. He got basically piled on his head, and he ended up being a paraplegic. So my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family and friends. Rest in peace, Don Droz. We got word tonight that Cody Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio will be closing out on Money in the Bank. This should be very fucking interesting. I'm shocked that the Bloodline Civil War is not closing it out, or the men's or the women's Money in the Bank. I'm just a little shocked about that. So that is that. That's the last minute things. I'm hoping that, you know, the right people are going to win it, and that's so on and so forth. But let's get to the stuff that I always have to get to, which are Harry's.com. Get all your shaving and toiletry essentials there at Harry's.com. If you have a beard, go to Maestro Classics at maestroclassics.com and get all your beard essentials. If you are dying of thirst and you want that high artillery to murder your thirst, please go check out the people over at Liquid Death at liquiddeath.com. And you can sample regular spring water, unflavored sparkling water, flavored sparkling water, and iced tea. So go to liquiddeath.com. Please do me a favor and go check out Death Wish Coffee at deathwishcoffee.com and get the world's strongest coffee with the lowest acidic rate. Please go check out House of Glory at House of Glory, HOGwrestling.net. And their next big thing is coming up in August. I believe it's 18th. High Intensity 10. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi and Eddie Kingston. So that should be a very interesting scenario. But if you want to get your tickets, it's HOGwrestling.net, and you could catch it on Premiere streaming network for $9.99 a month. So let's get this party started. Let's go to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw this past week. Monday Night Raw promises another exciting night of action as we get closer to WWE Money in the Bank. Ronda Rousey and Raquel Rodriguez will face off tonight before their tag team match at Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins provided an update on his health condition following last week's brutal attack from Finn Balor. The card is as follows: Ronda Rousey versus Raquel Rodriguez. Dominic Mysterio will address Cody Rhodes. Seth Rollins will provide an update on his health and the Women's Money in the Bank Summit. We have an opening of the show. Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio are already in the ring. Ripley says Cody Rhodes is a wannabe and a loser. Says his momentum has been slowing as of late, and Dominic will end it at Money in the Bank. Cody Rhodes' music comes on, and he goes to the ring. Cody gets on the mic and he welcomes the audience to Raw. Rhea says Dominic is a very dangerous man. Rhea says Dominic is going to show Cody how dangerous he is at Money in the Bank. Cody has Dominic has gotten a few cheap shots, and he quotes a children's book. Dominic is a scared little boy. Dominic and Rhea exit the ring. Cody says Priest isn't running from him. He asks why is he running, and asks Dominic to fight him here and now. Dominic heads to the ring and gets on the apron before he leaves again. Cody says at Money in the Bank he wants Dominic to show him something and prove that he is half the man his father is. We have the first match of the night. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ricochet. We come back from commercial break, and we have both men in the ring. The match begins with both men exchange strikes. Shinsuke Nakamura attacks Ricochet in the corner. Nakamura with a snapmare and a knee drop. Cover, 1-2 kick out. Nakamura with a back elbow. Ricochet fights back with an axe kick. Nakamura locks in a sleeper hold, but Ricochet gets out of it and sends Nakamura to the apron. Nakamura locks in a sleeper hold, but has to release the illegal hold. Both men knock each other down from the apron. Reed starts clapping. Ricochet and Nakamura exchange strikes. Ricochet hits an enziguri to Reed, and Nakamura kicks him as well. Both men get in the ring. Ricochet and Nakamura take turns attacking Reed. The ref ejects Reed from the match. We go to commercial break. Nakamura with the ground and pound on Ricochet. Nakamura hits an enziguri. Ricochet with a flying clothesline. Ricochet fights back and hits a back elbow and a shooting star press. Cover, 1-2 kick out. Ricochet hits a springboard moonsault, but Nakamura gets his knees up. He then delivers multiple knees to the gut of Ricochet. Nakamura with an inverted exploder suplex. He goes for a Kinshasa, but Reed evades and hits a recoil. Cover, 1-2 kick out. Nakamura kicks Ricochet in the head and throws him off the top rope. He goes for a Kinshasa, but is stopped by Ricochet, who hits the sliced bread number 2. Ricochet hits the shooting star press for the win, and Ricochet is the winner. A video from Play shows Riddle challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship match at Money in the Bank. Byron interviews Riddle, who says his ankle is cool and he is sick of Gunther hiding behind his friends. Kaiser interrupts and asks Riddle what makes him think he has what it takes to face Gunther. Riddle reminds him that he beat him last week. Kaiser says it will never happen again, and they brawl. Kaiser takes Riddle down, and Gunther accepts the challenge before Kaiser stomps his ankle. We come back from commercial break. Dominic and Rhea walk into Pierce's room and demand a match. He says he has someone perfect in mind. Pierce asks who he wants to face, but Rhea says he'll get back to him. Ronda Rousey versus Raquel Rodriguez. We come back from commercial break. The match starts with Ronda goes for a takedown but is blocked. Rousey locks in a guillotine, but Raquel powers out and hits a suplex. Rousey with an armbar, but had to release the hold due to the ropes. Raquel knocks down Rousey. She goes for a power slam, but Rousey escapes and locks in an ankle lock. Raquel escapes. Rousey goes for an armbar, but she slams her to the mat. Raquel attacks her in the corner. She then hits a fall-away slam. She goes for an elbow, but Shayna moves Ronda out of the way. Morgan attacks Shayna. Ronda rolls up Raquel in a pinning combination and gets the win. Winner is Ronda Rousey. A package of Finn Balor plays when he says he is much more dangerous now than he was when he beat Rollins. He says he beat Seth despite being injured. He said he was forced to relinquish the title. He said at his lowest point, Seth walked out and laughed at him, and that is something he will never forget. He said he didn't get bitter but Rollins made him bitter. And that is all he has while Seth has everything. He says the only things that matter to him is vengeance and the World Heavyweight Championship. He said he's going to take back everything he lost, and that will be a bitter pill for Rollins to swallow. Come back from commercial break. Seth is heading out to the ring. Rollins gets on the mic and says he has a special guest in the arena and welcomes Carmelo Hayes, who is at ringside. He says Hayes had his back in NXT and thanked him. He says they both have a lot of common, and says Hayes has a title defense tomorrow on NXT and asks him to beat up Corbin. He then says he goes face to face against Balor at Money in the Bank. He said last week Balor jumped him twice. Rollins says he is still standing and he's tired of talking. He asked Balor to come out and finish the job. Rollins says Balor is not coming out here now. He then says Balor is the most dangerous he has ever been, and he surrounds himself with all the right people. And he tricked himself into thinking it is his destiny to take everything away from him. Rollins says he is not 100% and he won't be 100% at Money in the Bank. He says Balor has not accounted for him because it's just the two of them. The best version of Balor is not good as the best version of Rollins. Balor tries to attack him from behind. Rollins takes him down and sends him over the top rope. Rollins attacks Balor. Balor sends Rollins into the post. He then sends Rollins into the announcer's desk and kicks him. Balor goes for a steel chair, but Hayes takes the chair, and Rollins knocks Balor over the barricade and chases him away. Byron interviews Ciampa, who says he spent the past 9 months rehabbing from surgery, but Miz never reached out to him. He then says everyone warned him about Miz and were right. He says the injury was a blessing in disguise, and it gave him clarity. He said this time around he will create his own opportunities. The Miz is heading out to the ring. Come back from commercial break. It was supposed to be The Miz versus Tommaso Ciampa, but that didn't happen because Ciampa came out. The Miz attacked him from behind. He sends Ciampa into the barricade and slams him into the apron. He sends him into the barricade again and viciously attacks him. The Miz hits the soul-crushing finale on Ciampa, so it was a no contest. So that is that. So in Imperium are backstage. Zayn and Owens interrupted them. Kaiser tells them to keep walking. Zayn says, now you know how it feels. They know it's not nice to be interrupted. Kaiser warns them that Gunther will teach Owens a lesson like he did last time. Zayn then challenges Gunther tonight. Gunther and Zayn also want to ride the coattails. Zayn and Owens walk away. Dominic Mysterio, they go out to the ring with Rhea Ripley. So we have a commercial break, and we have Dominic Mysterio versus Akira Tozawa. The match begins with Dominic attacking him in the corner. Dominic slams his head into the mat. Tozawa returns with a Hurricane Rana and a Shining Wizard. He climbs to the top rope and hits a flying elbow, sending Dominic out of the ring. Tozawa hits a suicide dive onto Dominic. He sends him back into the ring. He climbs up top. Dominic knocks him off and hits a frog splash for the win. Winner, Dominic Mysterio. Trish and Zoe are in the ring. We come back from commercial break. Becky goes out to the ring. Corey introduces the fans to the match rules, but is stopped. Bayley, who says she's the only woman in this match who has won the match. She says she or Io has a good chance of winning. Io says it's each woman for herself. Zelina Vega says she is tired of Damage Control dismissing everyone. She praises Lynch, but she says she hasn't won the briefcase. She then says she will win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Bayley says she doesn't stand a chance. Vega says she will prove to everyone when she and Santos will win the briefcase. Bayley and Vega continue to argue. Trish says she sees a bunch of girls while she is a woman and the greatest to ever do this. She says this may be her first ladder match, but winning is what she does. She then says everyone can thank her for letting them be part of an historic moment when she wins. Trish then asks whether Lynch will be man enough to take her when it's over. Lynch attacks Trish and the brawl breaks out between all the competitors. Lynch sends Stark and Stratus outside. Damage Control attack Trish in the corner. Vega attacks Bayley and sends her out of the ring. Io sends Vega outside. She hits a moonsault on everyone on the outside. Lynch climbs the ladder and grabs the briefcase. So normally when that happens, she's not winning. Kathy Kelly interviews Carmelo Hayes, who says Seth invited him to Raw. He says it was an honor to be on Raw. He aspires to be Rollins. He says he will take care of Balor tonight. He says he won't miss tonight. Gunther versus Sami Zayn. Come back from commercial. Lynch runs into Rhea, who tells her if she thinks of cashing in on her, it will be the last thing she ever does. Lynch says Rhea has become the main event side piece, and she wants to win the briefcase to just watch her squirm. Sami Zayn ends up out to the ring. The match begins with Gunther takes down Sami. Gunther knocks Zayn with a shoulder tackle. Zayn with an arm drag on Gunther, and Gunther attacks him in the corner. Giovanni Vinci comes out. He's back. Gunther hits a German suplex on Zayn. There's a commercial break. Gunther chops down Sami. Sami goes for an exploder suplex, but Gunther escapes and chops him. Gunther attacks him in the corner, and Sami tries to fight back, but is stopped. Sami hits a sunset flip power bomb. Sami hits a clothesline. He goes for a blue thunder bomb, but Gunther reverses it into a sleeper hold. Sami with a blue thunder bomb, cover 1-2 kick out. He goes for a dive, but Gunther chops him, cover 1-2 kick out. Gunther hits the splash, cover 1-2 kick out. Kaiser gets on the apron, but Owens attacks him. Gunther takes out Owens, and Sami dives onto Gunther. Sami sends him into the ring and hits an exploder suplex. Kaiser distracts the referee, and Vinci hits him with a crutch. Gunther hits the power bomb for the win, and the winner is Gunther. Owens attacks Gunther and Kaiser, but the numbers are too much. Matt Riddle music plays, and he comes out. He attacks Vinci and hits him with a crutch. Then he hits Gunther and Kaiser with a crutch. Owens hits a stunner on Kaiser, sending them both out of the ring. Finn Balor versus Carmelo Hayes. We come back from commercial break. Otis and Maxine are training Gable, whether the Viking Raiders thinks he's a terrible coach. Maxine says she's ready for Valhalla. Gable says they will be here next week and asks them to say something to their face. He asks Otis for the plan, and he says It's pure carnage. Kathy Kelly interviews Natalia, who says she signed up for this life and Rhea Ripley is part of this life. She's the biggest fear in her head. She says she has been broken and shaken, but she's still here. She says she asked Rhea to bring her title and face her because no one can erase what she accomplished. Sweetheart, so you're going to get a third opportunity at her? Have you not learned? I've seen what's going on the live shows. She's getting her fucking ass handed to her. Why? There's no reasons to. She really needs to stop putting over other people, and if this is the way, fine, so be it. But Jesus fucking Christ. Lord Jesus Christ. So Carmelo Hayes ends up going out to the ring, and Balor is out there as well. The match begins with Balor attacks Hayes in the corner. Balor takes him down and goes to work on him. Hayes hits a drop kick on Balor. He kicks him in the back of the head and hits a fadeaway. Hayes dives onto Balor. We hit a commercial break. Hayes hits a clothesline on Balor. Balor recovers and knocks him down. He continues to stomp him. He hits a sling blade. Hayes hits a super kick and a springboard DDT. Cover 1-2 kick out. Balor hits a gut buster. He follows with a shotgun drop kick. Balor hits a coup de grace for the win, and it's winner Finn Balor. Kathy Kelly interviews Cody Rhodes, who says he's looking forward to the day when they are not talking about Judgment Day. He says he wishes he could sit in the crowd and boo Dominic. He asks the Money in the Bank. He says at Money in the Bank, Dominic won't have anyone to look out for him. We go to a commercial break. Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest. And the match begins, and Priest knocks Cody down. Cody comes back within an uppercut. He then hits a drop kick. Cody hits a Priest in the corner. Priest fights back and attacks Cody in the corner. Cody fights back and slams Priest. Rhea and Dominic come out to the ring. Cody hits a suicide dive on Priest. He sends him into the ring and confronts Dominic. The distraction allows Priest to hit a flatliner. We come back from commercial break. Priest hits a broken arrow on Rhodes. Cover 1-2 kick out. Priest hits a clothesline. Cover 1-2 kick out. Priest climbs to the top rope but is thrown off by Rhodes. Cody knocks down Priest. He then hits a power slam. Cody hits a disaster kick and then hits a bionic elbow on Priest. Cody goes for the figure 4 leg lock, but Priest escapes. Priest hits a headlock driver. Cody hits a pedigree. Priest rolls out of the ring. Cody climbs up to the top rope and goes for a diving and misses. Priest hits a thrust kick. Rhodes hits him with a super kick. He goes for the Cody cutter, but Dominic trips him, and Priest hits the South of Heaven. Cover 1-2 kick out. Dominic on the apron. Cody sends Priest into Dominic and hits the Cody cutter and follows up with the Crossroads for the win. Winner, Cody Rhodes. Dominic jumps Cody Rhodes from behind, and that is the end of Monday Night Raw. Interesting. Okay, SmackDown. Tonight's Money in the Bank Go Home edition of SmackDown. They started up with Darren Drozdov, who passed away. We are now getting ready to start off with the first match. We have the WWE Undisputed Tag Team title match. Pretty Deadly versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We go to the ring, and Mike Rome introduces the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They head to the ring. Fans continue singing Sami after the music stops. Pretty Deadly, Elton, Elton Prince, and Kit Wilson are out next. Sami and Wilson start things off. Sami dominates, but challenges take over when the referee is dealing with Owens. Pretty Deadly ends up on the floor with Sami, slamming him face first into the announce table. We go to commercial. Owens finally gets the hot tag after the break, then runs wild on both opponents. Owens sends them to the floor, continues unloading with signature offense. Owens brings Prince back in and hits a corner cannonball, but his ankle is hurt. Owens with a top rope swanton for a 2 as Wilson makes the save. Sami attacks Wilson. Owens ends up going for a stunner to Prince, but his knee goes out. Wilson sends Sami into the steel steps. Challenges focus on Owens' knee and hit a double team for a 2. Owens then kicks out out of spilt milk. As Sami makes the same save, Owens and Wilson to the floor and hits a German suplex on Prince. Wilson and Sami tags in now. Sami with a blue thunder bomb. Wilson ends up poking Sami's eyes. Pretty Deadly pulls the bait and switch, but Sami kicks out. Sami with an exploder suplex to Wilson. Prince charges at Sami, but Owens cuts him off with a stunner. Sami hits Wilson with a hula kick for the pin to win and retain. The winners are Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. After the match, Owens and Zayn stand tall and celebrate as we go to see highlights of Sheamus and Solo last week. Megan Moran is now backstage with Adam Pearce. The Brawling Brutes interrupt, and Sheamus is looking for Sequoia. Holland also wants payback on Sequoia. Holland asks if Pearce is saying he's not worthy of a banger in his homeland. Pearce says no, then books Holland and versus the WWE United States Champion Austin Theory in a non-title match, but Holland wants to know if he earns a title shot if he wins. Pearce says Holland will firmly be contention for the title if he wins. Sorry, I'm just having a little indigestion. Champions Contender match. WWE United States Champion Austin Theory versus Ridge Holland. The match starts, they lock up, and Theory applies the headlock, and Holland overpowers and beats him around. Holland swings Theory around and nails a big suplex for a 2. Theory counters with a 2 count. He mounts Holland with right hands. Fans boo as Theory taunts the crowd. Holland fights back with the power moves as fans cheer him on. Holland with big throws. Theory avoids a power slam but fights back from the apron. Theory ends up jabbing Holland in the throat. He then hitting a rolling drop kick for the pin for the win. Winner Austin Theory. After match, Theory poses over Holland with the title as we go to replays. Theory attacks Holland, but Sheamus runs down to make the save. Sheamus goes for a butt row kick, but Theory dodges it, retreats as Sheamus tends to Holland. We come back from break and we get a promo from Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Kross says AJ is one of the most decorated superstars of all time, but he was gasping for air the last time we were in the ring, and that felt phenomenal. Kross says this is a game of chess, and last time he beat AJ with 3 moves. Kross says he will be checkmate next week. Tick-tock. We get a video package of the Bloodline Civil War. Bayley versus Shotzi. And this was supposed to be last week. Jesus Christ, everything was backwards. Why? I don't understand. So we have Bailey versus Shotzi. When we came back from commercial break, everybody was saying, "Hey, Bailey." I'm not going to sing this. I have a very bad voice, so it's, "Hey, Bailey, I want to know, would you be my girl?" It's take on "Hey, baby," but they changed "Hey, baby" to "Hey, Bailey." I know it's very confusing. This is why I want to go over to England and do some wrestling shows over there because it's rabbits over there. And if Bailey loses, she's out of the Money in the Bank and Shotzi's in. So Bailey dominates early on, but Shotzi turns it around. Io looks to assist but backfires. Shotzi with more offense until she goes down on her knee. More back and forth for the next few minutes. Shotzi looks to put Bailey away, but Io breaks it up. Shotzi goes for Io, but Bailey takes advantage and rakes her eyes. Bailey then drops Shotzi with a roast plant for the pin to win to secure the women's Money in the Bank ladder match spot, and Bailey is the winner. After the match, Bailey and Io celebrate while exiting and taunting Shotzi. We come back from a commercial break. Shotzi confronts Bailey and Io Sky backstage. They attack and slam her on top of a table. Bailey grabs a pair of scissors and cuts off some of Shotzi's hair. Bailey keeps calling Shotzi a freak and warns her about messing with Damage Control. We go to the ring and we have Grayson Waller for the Grayson Waller effect. Waller introduces Logan Paul as a favorite to win the Money in the Bank, and he says he knows in UK for making some KSI famous. Paul comes out to a mixed reaction, mostly boos. Waller says this is a big of a guest as you can get. He mentioned this being Paul's first Money in the Bank match. He asked what it would mean to have a guaranteed title shot. Paul says it would mean a lot in London, but it doesn't know why he's being booed. Paul says his dream won't end until he has WWE gold around his waist. Paul said he will be able to call his own shot. Maybe he gets payback on the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins, or maybe he takes care of unfinished business with the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, or maybe he will smack LA Knight with the briefcase. Waller says he would love to see that. The music interrupts and out comes Knight to a big pop. LA says Paul has proven a lot with what he has been given, but LA hasn't been given a damn thing, but still has fans calling him. Yeah, LA respects Paul for what he has done on social media, but now he is standing in a WWE ring, and he needs to realize the Money in the Bank odds are on LA for a reason. Paul knocks Knight for being a manager after a lackluster 20-year career. He says Knight should be thanking him for mentioning him. LA tells London to tell Paul whose game this is. Paul tells the fans to go home because they are drunk. The music hits and out comes Santos Escobar to interrupt. Escobar says Knight thinks he has already won. Paul says he wants to win, but Escobar needs to win this. Escobar says he and Zelina Vega will be Mr. and Miss. Well, it's actually Mr. and Mrs. because she is married. Money in the Bank of the LWO. The music interrupts and out comes Butch, who is ready to fight. Butch nails a flying forearm to Paul. Butch pounded on Paul while Escobar nailed a flying splash from the top Knight on the floor. Butch and Paul continue rolling out to the announce table, and Paul connects with punches as we go to break. We come back. LA Knight versus Butch versus Santos Escobar. This was supposed to be from last week, people. Last week. I'm not kidding. You could all thank Vince McMahon for fucking everything up. We come back from break and the match is underway. Santos Escobar and LA Knight go at it with Paul watching from ringside. Paul and Knight end up having words at ringside. Escobar goes for a suicide dive, but Knight ducks and Escobar hits Logan. Escobar hits Butch and flies off the top, but Butch intercepts with a forearm. Butch follows up with a bitter end for the win. So obviously Butch is not winning. That was his win. That was his big win in his home country. After the match, Butch stands a ladder, but Knight sends him to the floor. Knight climbs up, but Paul pulls him off and sends him into the ring post. Butch clotheslines Paul over the top rope, and then Butch climbs the ladder and poses with the briefcase. We go backstage. AJ Styles, he says Karrion Kross previously won 3 moves because he broke the rules. AJ said if Kross can keep his poodle on a leash, he has somebody for her. The camera poses to Mia Yim. AJ accepts Kross's challenge for next week. WWE women's title match. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. We come back from commercial break. And the WWE Women's Champion Asuka. What the fuck? Hold on. Yeah, that's what I was. Give me one more second. I'm sorry. So we come back from commercial break and we have Bianca Belair at ringside, but she has a ticket, so she's allowed to stay there. So Flair unloads with chops on Asuka, then goes back and forth. Asuka with a German suplex. Flair blocks a hip attack and hits a German of her own. Asuka sidesteps Flair and nails a code breaker for a close 2 count. Flair comes back with a kick for a close 2 count. Flair ends up going to the top, but Asuka pulls her down. Flair nails a big boot into the corner, but Asuka comes right back with a double knee backbreaker, but Flair hangs on. Coming back to a commercial break, and Flair misses a moonsault. Jesus Christ. Stop doing your fucking husband's moves. You're not doing them properly. You barely can get through Tranquilo. Now stop it. With her knees. Asuka goes for the armbar, but Flair escapes. Asuka blocks a figure 4 with a roll-up for a 2. Flair comes back with a spear for a 2. Asuka rolls out, and Flair finally hits the moonsault. Jesus, it took you 2 times to do it. Please stop. Please. Flair chops Asuka to where Belair is sitting. Belair shows off her ticket. Flair ends up going for the big boot, but Asuka dodges it. And Flair drops Belair in the front row. Asuka kicks Flair, but Flair slams her onto the edge of the apron. Belair comes over the apron and attacks Asuka. The referee calls the match, and it's a no DQ. So then after the match, Belair takes apart the announce table. Flair comes over and they have words. Flair says that her match, but that this was her match. Belair says this is about Asuka, not her. Flair puts her hand up to hush Belair, but Belair slaps the hand away. Flair puts her hand up, but Belair attacks. Flair fights back and tries to ram Belair into the steel ring steps, but Belair moves and Flair hits the steps. Belair grabs Asuka and Asuka tries to kick Belair, but Belair ducks and slams her on the top of the announce table with a KOD. Belair taunts Asuka. Flair gets back up, but Belair slams her onto Asuka on the top of the table with another KOD. Belair poses on top of the table while her music hits, and Flair and Asuka laid out. We go to commercial. Back from commercial break, the announcers hype up the Money in the Bank card. We go back to the ring and the what's left of the bloodline. The undisputed WWE champion Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman are heading to the ring. So Reigns, Sikoa, Heyman stand tall as we go to commercial. Back from the commercial break, Reigns calls London to acknowledge him. Reigns then addresses the issue with the bloodline and his history with the Usos. Reigns says, let them say we the ones for years now, but he's the only one. Reigns hypes himself up and says the only one that loves and cares about his cousins. No one gave them an opportunity but him. Let's just go back in time. Okay, let's just go back in time. Let's for shits and giggles. The Usos were fucking winning championships before fucking Roman Reigns came along. The Usos were in WWE and on main roster television before Roman Reigns. Who put them with? Who put the Usos with? Wait a second. The Usos had to go to Roman Reigns to make him a good babyface. The Rock didn't even get to do that. Didn't even fucking. Everybody was chanting the Usos, not Roman Reigns. So, sweetheart Roman, I want to turn on some reality here. You didn't make the Usos. The Usos were making themselves. Okay? What you've done in the past 3 years is the only thing that matters. Before that, nothing else matters. Okay? Reigns hypes himself up and says he's the only one that loves and cares about his cousins. No one gave him the opportunity he brought to them to the promised land. And for a guy that's had fucking almost 10 main events at WrestleMania, most of those didn't work. Fans chanted Roman sucks, and he says what sucks is when family betrays you. Reigns goes and says the Usos need to bow down and apologize and acknowledge him, and they can all move on. The Usos come out to a pop, stopping at ringside to take the mic. Jimmy Uso says they are past acknowledging and apologizing. They are done with the bloodline. It's all about consequences now. Jay Uso brings up how it's been for 3 years since Roman Reigns was pinned. And Jimmy says that's all going to change tomorrow night at Money in the Bank. Jay says Reigns will no longer be the tribal chief when he loses tomorrow. Jimmy and Jay are not interested in being the next tribal chief, but they have someone in mind. Fans chant Sikoa. Now, Reigns laughing at the idea and looks over at Sikoa, who isn't laughing. Reigns lashes out in the crowd and lashes out at the crowd and then at Jay. Jay ends up on the apron now. Reigns is mushed in the face right into a super kick by Jimmy. The Usos attacked Sequoia, but he fights them off and brawls with Jimmy. Jay traps Reigns before security and office officials run down with Adam Pearce. Jay starts super kicking security, but Reigns stops him with a Superman punch. Sequoia and Jimmy brawl at ringside. Reigns is taken out security now at the bottom of the ramp now. Reigns and Sequoia have Jimmy down at the apron. Jay runs in the ring and hits a suicide dive, and it's not a suicide dive, it's a tope suicida. And not a tope suicida, it was a tope con hero. Okay? Taking Reigns and Sequoia down with a big pop. Jay gets back in the ring and SmackDown goes off the air. And now we're going to go on to the pick of the event, and then I'm going to get you out of here. And I want everybody to enjoy the rest of the evening. Oh, there. Okay. Money in the Bank actual matches for the women. We have Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Starks, Bailey, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus. I'm taking Io Sky. For the men, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, Damian Priest, Logan Paul. I'm taking LA Knight, but I would ultimately want Priest. So I have two that I'm going to pick. Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I'm going to take Finn Balor. I know it's going to be Seth Rollins, but I'm a Judgment Day mark. Dominic Mysterio and Cody Rhodes. I'm going to take Dominic Mysterio, and Brock Lesnar's going to show up to ruin the entire situation. The Usos versus Reigns and Sequoia. I'm going to take the Usos. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan for the WWE Undisputed Women's Tag Team Champions. It's going to be Rousey and Baszler. Gunther versus Matt Riddle for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Gunther is going to win. And that is the picks. And that is it. But before we get out of here, please do me a favor. Go check me out on my social media pages, which is Mel's Match Hat on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Please go check me out on Facebook. Please also go check out my YouTube channel while you're here. Like, share, subscribe, turn on the bell for all notifications so when I go live or upload a video, you know about it. Please go check out Harry's at harrys.com. Go check them out. Go check Liquid Death at liquiddeath.com. Please go check out Death Wish Coffee at deathwishcoffee.com. Check out Maestro Classics at maestroclassics.com. And please go check out HOG Wrestling at hogwrestling.net and check out High Intensity 810. And they will have Hiroshi Tanahashi and Eddie Kingston in action. I want everybody to have a great Money in the Bank Saturday. I will be back here tomorrow night for the review. I want everybody to have a great evening and a great rest of your weekend. And I love you all. And I will see you all back here next Friday at 2 p.m. for episode 297. And then we're going to be starting the whole thing with getting to SummerSlam and the All In, All Out, the whole thing in a nutshell. Have a great evening. I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow evening for the review of Money in the Bank. I love you all. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.